Dan Willis here, and we're talking about how to pay collections and the consumer due diligence. Now, are you getting a flood of relentless calls from debt collectors, receiving letters demanding payment, or maybe you've discovered a collection item on your credit reports? If so, you're in the right place, and you're not alone. Did you know an estimated 1 in 3, or roughly 77 million Americans, have a debt in collections? That's according to a 2014 study by the Urban Institute, whereas a 2019 study by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, found 28% of Americans have a debt in collections. The point is simply, millions of Americans have a debt in collections and subsequently are living with a less than perfect credit score. As a result, they're forced to pay a higher cost of living, including upfront deposits, insurance rates, interest rates, and more. The worst part about having a less than perfect credit history is the embarrassment and social stigma. Every time a potential lender, creditor, and today even potential employer pull our credit reports, we know they view us as if we're some second-class citizen, and we both know that ain't true. And only the truly privileged people can't relate, understand, or empathize with financial setbacks. Further, many folks wind up with less than perfect credit through life's lemons, such as a job loss, divorce, illness, etc. For some individuals, they wind up with less than perfect credit through no fault of their own, from identity theft, human error, even legitimate disputes between creditors and borrowers. The fact is today, we shouldn't have any confidence the credit bureaus can even keep our credit reports safe. Recall the 2017 Equifax hack? It was perpetrated by China's Communist Party, or the CCP. Every honest student of history will tell you communists are responsible for some of the most deadliest episodes of genocide in human history. Our purpose in this video is to share how exactly to handle debt collectors, the necessary consumer due diligence, including your rights as a consumer, along with how to exercise these rights and remedy this inconvenience, and so it will help your credit score. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit report consultation by calling toll-free 1-844-517-7627. Now let's discuss the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, FDCPA. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act is federal legislation passed to regulate the debt collection industry. In other words, it's the rules. It says a lot, and it's worth your detailed review at your convenience. In brief, it says what time of day debt collectors can contact you, what they can say, who they can talk to about your debt, and more. Further, it says they can't threaten you with violence or harm, use obscene language, or repeatedly call you with the purpose of annoying you. They're also not supposed to misrepresent themselves or threaten criminal action, nor are they supposed to threaten legal action if it's not true. Essentially, they're supposed to provide you with that modicum of respect and dignity every human being deserves. And yes, a fact check. The unfortunate truth is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act is violated just about as often as our drug laws. It's true, if your consumer rights are violated, you can potentially sue a debt collector. However, collecting payment may be mission impossible. We share this not to discourage you, but so you understand your adversary. The collection agencies are not your friend, and for many Americans, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act is about as effective as our drug laws. Proof can be found in the many consistent fines issued to the debt collection industry. And if you'd like to know more, we're going to include a link in the description below over to an article at our website for the full story. We also have a free report available there for you, the 7 proven ways to boost your credit score. Now, will paying off collections improve your credit? For many, their main priority is, will paying off collections improve my credit? You'd think so. It certainly makes sense if it did, and one day it's supposed to, but as of this video and moving forward, 2020, no it won't. You see, if all you do is pay collections and nothing more, the only thing that's going to change is the status of that collection item on your credit reports. It'll be changed from an unpaid collection to a paid collection. This is still a negative credit report item. Anthony Sprav, a spokesman for FICO, says collections on your credit report can damage and drag your credit score down by as much as 100 points. That's huge. The Experian Credit Bureau says, and we quote, "Paying the debt won't necessarily help your credit scores. Accounts that get to the collection stage are about as negative as it gets. Only bankruptcy is worse. As a result, any improvement, especially right away, probably will be very minor," end quote. And if you'd like to see these quotes fully sourced along with the Experian Credit Bureau website, we've got the link in the description below over to an article at our website where we have all that fully sourced. We also have a free report available there for you, the 7 proven ways to boost your credit score. Look, it's true. FICO has finally recognized the obvious problem with their credit scoring algorithm, and they've created a new FICO 9 scoring algorithm. In this new algorithm, it's supposed to ignore collections with a $0 balance, also known as paid collections. The problem is the FICO 9 algorithm was originally released in August 2014, and here we are recording this video at the end of 2020, and virtually no lenders actually use the FICO 9 model. Instead, they're still using FICO 8 or earlier, and our lenders and creditors are never required to ever use the new FICO 9 scoring model. FICO even says, and we quote, "The fact that you have collections listed on your credit report will almost certainly lower your FICO score." They go on to say, again we quote, "As far as your FICO score is concerned, 2 things are considered. Has a collection appeared on your credit report and when it was reported? So whether or not you pay your collections off is really a personal decision," end quote. In an article from 2020, the Experian Credit Bureau says, and again we quote, "Consumers with collections on their credit reports are likely to have lower credit scores than consumers who have no collections. In addition to the potential impact to your credit scores, the presence of collections also can influence lender decisions," end quote. The key to better your credit is to remove this collection mark entirely from your credit reports, and you don't have to serve the maximum 7-year bad credit prison sentence. After all, when's the last time you've heard of a criminal serving their maximum prison sentence? So then why should you? 7 years is the maximum. There is no minimum. Let us repeat, there is no minimum amount of time any negative item must remain on your credit report. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit report consultation by calling toll-free 1-844-517-7627. Now let's talk about the debt collection tactics. Generally, accounts are sent or sold to a debt collector after about 180 days of delinquency or 6 months of non-payment, regardless of the type of debt, from medical bills to credit cards to utilities, retail accounts, telecom, etc. Once the debt collector has the account, they're going to start contacting you along with reporting that collection mark on your credit report. Likely, they'll also inflate your total account balance. They can charge your account with a sky-high interest rate, and believe it or not, they can even charge your account with collection fees. These can be substantial sums of money. tens of thousands of dollars for some, depending on the size of your alleged debt. If the debt collector is unable to collect payment, they generally have two options. First, they can sell the rights to your account to yet another collection agency. Now, this new collection agency will begin contacting you and they'll report a collection on your credit reports. Alternatively, they can file a civil lawsuit, as in sue you. If this happens, you should be notified of the court date via a court summons. Please show up to defend yourself, even if your only argument is financial hardship. The debt collector's goal is to win a judgment against you, and debt collectors have been caught repeatedly filing and winning judgments against consumers without having the proper evidence and complete documentation. Believe it or not, debt collectors have even been caught and confessed to using fraudulent evidence. If you fail to appear for your day in court, it's much easier for the debt collectors to prove a case and win a judgment. This can potentially result in wage garnishment, liens placed against you and your property, and even asset seizure. Please investigate your local legislation because every state has unique laws and they do vary. Now, the very first step when it comes to the consumer due diligence is to request debt validation. If you're currently dealing with those endless debt collector phone calls, our first step is to request debt validation on our alleged account. This is your right as a consumer granted by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Essentially, when we request debt validation, we're saying to the debt collector, you prove it, or asking for the original receipt if you prefer. After all, you didn't do any business directly with this debt collector. They just showed up one day demanding payment. It's most effective to make your debt validation request in writing and send it using certified mail, as this will provide you with a trail of evidence of your communications. The debt collector is required to respond by furnishing you with the evidence, documents, and paperwork that does show and prove this is your account. This paperwork should show you all the relevant account details, such as who the original lender or creditor was, dates of account activity, total balance, and more. If they fail to validate your debt, then you're no longer legally responsible for payment. Moreover, they're supposed to contact all three credit bureaus to have them remove this collection mark from your credit report. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit report consultation by calling toll-free 1-844-517-7627. Now, the second consumer due diligence step is to look at the age of the account. If your debt is validated, our next step is to review this paperwork in detail. We're looking for your last dates of account activity because you're not legally responsible for repayment for most types of consumer debt forever. You're typically only legally responsible for about 7 years, after which the debt is supposed to be forgiven, and this is according to state law. This is called the statute of limitations, and it does vary by state. So for full details, check out your local legislation. This legal time window applies to the overwhelming majority of types of consumer debt, including credit cards, medical bills, utilities, financial services, charge-offs, retail, telecom, and more. One of the only exceptions is federal student loans in default. Warning. Yes, a warning. It's common for debt collectors to re-age consumer accounts, as this enables them to continue to attempt to collect payment despite the debt no longer remaining legally enforceable. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit report consultation by calling toll-free 1-844-517-7627. Again, that's for a free credit report consultation, and the toll-free phone number is 1-844-517-7627. This is Dan Willis. We're going to include a link in the description below over to an article at our website for the full story. We also have a free report available there for you, the 7 proven ways to boost your credit score. And of course, subscribe and join our congregation, because coming up next, we're going to talk about how to pay collections and negotiate a settlement agreement. And so it will help to improve your credit score. So of course, subscribe. Have a wonderful day, and looking forward to talking to you again here soon.